Welcome back, everybody, to the OK Grognard Show. Today is Wednesday, April 2nd, 2025, 10 a.m. Central in beautiful Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. No fooling. April Fool's yesterday. I didn't spend a lot of time on the internet yesterday. Can never tell what's real. Got that notice late last night that Val Kilmer had passed, and I had to do a little digging to make sure it was true before I shared the information, because sad news that it is that Mad Mardigan has passed. Today, though, we're going to look at the TSR offering, the Monster and Treasure Assortment. Specifically, we're looking at the compilation, because that includes 3 different products from 77, 78, and 80, as the copyright says inside this one. And we're talking about 3 different piles of tables that are pre-generated monsters and treasures divvied up by levels. So you've got 100 in the original first offering. It was for levels 1 to 3 of a dungeon. What kind of feelings do you have for your dungeon? Well, we have both kinds, monsters and treasures. And in that first offering, you had levels 1 to 3. So for level 1, 2, and 3, you had tables of monsters, 100 for each level, and likewise 100 treasures for each level. And you could, say, use those with the dungeon geomorphs, those little tiles that depicted sections of maps. They were squared, and you could put them down and arrange them and create a dungeon on the fly, and then you could use this monster and treasure assortment to fill it up. So the first one was for sets 1 to 3. That's levels 1 to 3. Right, each set. First set 1 was levels 1 to 3. Set 2, levels 4 to 6, and set 3, levels 7 to 9. So you could knock these out. What did they look like, though? I'll tell you what. We can pop over to my Acrobat and have a look at actual thing here. So it had a couple of pages of introduction and explanation by way of how to use it, and then you had levels. You had 50, there's a tramp picture, illustration, up to 100. Orcs, berserkers, lots of berserkers. Some of these repeat, but that's what you would expect to find on a first level. Any of these could be found on the first level of a typical Gygaxian-style dungeon. And then level 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then later in the book, 8, 9, you had treasures. Level 1, 1 to 100. Level 2, likewise. Level 3. And these would be the kind of things that you would typically find on a treasure of their respective levels. But, that introduction, bump. Well, let's read a bit of it. This assortment of monsters and treasures by dungeon level is designed to answer 2 needs. First, the package provides the dungeon master with a ready matrix of encounters when his players are exploring a dungeon encountered in a wilderness adventure. Oh, there's a dungeon. Oh, it's random. I'm not prepared. Well, let's pull out the geomorphs and pull out these tables, and boom, boom, boom. Out go the lights. Second, and more importantly, these assorted monsters and treasures are aimed at making the DM's task a lighter one when it comes to readying the major dungeon in which most of his players' underworld adventures will take place. You know, with Greyhawk for Gary and Blackmore for Dave, and everybody had their own signature dungeon that was the place that groups would go back to again and again. The early days were very simple. For a lot of us, you would run an adventure with people, and they'd get in and they'd get out. And what are we going next time? Well, we'll go back into the dungeon, but we'll go check out that area that we left in the southern portion unexplored. And they'd go back and they'd check out another section. The exciting part of this is that it saves a DM a lot of time. They say that they had created all of these things randomly, and you know, if you look them over, they certainly look like they were created randomly. And it is suggested, at least generally, by me for sure, that if you were to use these to prepare a dungeon in advance, you'd want to be a lot more circumspect. You'd want to either choose from the tables to try to create some sort of continuity. You don't want creatures in close quarters near one another who would be hammer and tongs constantly fighting, because sooner or later one of them would be destroyed and you'd have to get rid of them. Notice how they do this description. Example. This is how you might set up a dungeon. Monster giant rats, no treasure. Monster bandits, treasure 28. Tells you all about it. To vary the monster selection, other than the simple varying of the number of creatures, you may add a leader type with the monsters, or join two together. Orcs and a gnoll leader, goblins with a bugbear leader, berserkers with a berserk village priest leading them, so on and so forth. Treasures can be varied by changing the spells on scrolls, changing magic and cleric scrolls back and forth, varying the types of potions. They make a lot of suggestions about how to customize what you wind up getting in these things. The key to abbreviations is in that front part here. Hit points, attacks. I've rejiggered the tables so that they could be kind of divided up into sections for easier looking at. Value categories. They even show you how to pop some gems in there and vary their value so they're not all the same. And of course the treasure is to be in something, right? I mean, it could just be loose on the floor, as number 10 suggests on the first table. On the second table, it was guarded by, well then, the creatures themselves are guarding them too, but what about some sort of a nasty little trapperooski? And then, of course, it can be hidden as well. No reason why the chest has to be out in the middle of the floor. It can be under the floor, disguised to appear as something else, under a heap of trash, all sorts of things, right? And that's part of the beauty of having that variety. You want to make sure that stuff is there, but it's not there, right? Anyway, we're getting that. Let's get rid of this. Boom. So, that's pretty much that. Lots of stuff in these. You get them for $5 on as a PDF on DriveThruRPG. There'll be a link in the show notes. Donald Sutherland, James Sutherland, and Dave Trampier, or David Sutherland. Jeez, come on, Clover, get it together. David Sutherland, Dave Trampier, Tom Wham, illustrations in there, and more. Others, Jeff D. It's sparse. There's not a lot of illustrations in there. Some of them are glommed from other products they had at the time, just to kind of fill this thing out. The original 3, Individual offerings were like 12 pages each, and this one comes in at 34, 32 with the covers, 34. So, you know, it's a $5 thing if you never get stuck. But I'll tell you what, one of the reviews, it says on Wikipedia, links in the show notes too, and they said that this was, well, see how useful this is unless the DM has mental blocks and stuff. You know what? I disagree. I disagree with that completely. You don't have to be stymied or have any sort of creative block to use something like this, to make use of something like this in a good way, because, quite frankly, whether you know it or not, even if you're just rattling off monsters and treasures while you're creating a dungeon, we'll put this here, we'll put that there, we'll put that there. You don't know what sort of biases or blind spots you might be having. You might not think to put something somewhere that one of these random tables might say, try this there. And you go, wait a minute. Oh, yeah, that's a great idea. It's another entrance on this side. And something like this might have come in, and it would be disruptive. It would also keep everything from running out that way. So there's all sorts of flow to a dungeon that needs to be considered. And these kind of things throw curveballs at you as well as at your players, and make you rethink assumptions you may have had. So it's worth it's worth $5, I'd say. If you just picked it up and just read through it and thought about the randomness of it, and had some fun. And it's fun on the fly. It's a neat little thing where he just wanted to create a level. People say first edition didn't have balance. This is proof of that, right? In that these are created for different levels, and dungeons are supposed to be harder the deeper you go. So obviously they're balanced for certain levels of characters and players. Now, players did choose whether they would go up against unbalanced encounters, because they could certainly go deeper in a dungeon if they explored and found a way down, knowing full well it would be more dangerous. But it was up to them. Player agency, baby. The kind of stuff that everybody complains they don't have, and nobody seems to want when it's given to them. What do you guys want to do? I don't know. Maybe we should go down in the dungeon again. You should. You definitely should. And have some fun with it. Anyway, Monster and Treasure Assortment. Let's point that way. And enjoy it. Enjoy it. Thanks for coming out today. Appreciate you popping into the chat there, those of you who did. And thanks for watching the video in the archive, too. It's much appreciated. This has been a discussion of the TSR Monster and Treasure Assortment. Fun little product, a nice little aid, DMs, something. The show streams live on Twitch each Wednesday at 10 a.m. Central, and it's archived on YouTube. Like, subscribe, follow. Do all of that fun stuff for me. It'll be very much appreciated. And don't forget, you can support the channel even at the free level on Patreon, and that would be appreciated. Join such other luminaries like Tom Tullis of Fat Dragon Games, Carlos Lysing of Castle Entertainment, Heath Farndon of the Antipodean and D20, Dave O'Brien, unauthorized user, Heidi and Eric Gygax Garland of Gaxland, Vince Ragusa of the Maroon Room, a prog rock van, Daniel Caldwell of the Griffin and Gargoyle. We have some new ones like Christian Garcia and Stephanie Lesniewski-Grochow and Sarah Topolopkis and Colin Zablewski. But, as always, Shane Bradley, DM Extraordinaire. This has been the OK Grognard Show from beautiful Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. Thank you, and bye-bye.